All right, call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Yeah, you want to read the statement of public notice?
Hereby provided our written notice and the agenda of the public meeting as stated below. There's an opportunity for public comments as noted on the agenda upon recognition by the presiding officer.
Get back here. Roll call. Everybody here? Oh, Zach's on. Zach, you're online?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah. So have a motion to adopt the agenda as posted.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as posted.
Motion,
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Approval of prior minutes. Take
What-
motion to approve the,
What's the date of that? I don't have them in front of
That
me, but
was like-
I read them, but then I don't have them in front of me.
July 11th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 11th, 2023.
their second. Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, we're gonna throw Zach up first. Before,
Huh?
put Zach up before public comment.
You want to do public comment quick because you got a couple people online and then you can do it.
Okay, we'll do public comment. Anybody that wants to address the finance committee?
Good, go on.
Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move on to do Zach, you wanna talk first?
Hold on a second. My kids are coming in and yelling.
Okay, we'll give you, time's up.
All right. All right. So I guess what do you want me to talk about first?
Why don't you talk about where you are? The budget numbers have been put into the budget this year, but I know we're still talking about some repairs that have to be made. So maybe you'd like to let the finance committee know about that.
Yes, I don't have the budget to actual for this month with payroll and everything in. But basically where we're sitting right now with payroll, adding the gear that we're buying, some other equipment, we're going to be roughly somewhere between 141 and 161, depending on how much equipment we try to pre-buy for tender 7. So we're looking at probably almost 100% of our budget right now. And it just kind of depends on if we need to save any money for repairs or anything like that. So we're trying to hold off on ordering all the equipment until the end of the year.
Okay, and would you like to speak to the committee about the 2 repairs that we've talked, or actually 3, but one's not going to get done right away, but the 2 repairs that you want to get done?
Yeah, so we have we've talked about the garage doors. The garage doors were in the tune of 94 to 96,000. I don't have that paperwork in front of me. And then the other one, I just met with Johnny Dallin for his plumbing company, and he is looking at 2 different options to repair the plumbing issue that we have in our laundry area. One of it is actually moving the sump and putting a bigger sump in place, increasing the lines to make them bigger, because he thinks that's what's happening is that the line is too small. My concern with that was that it potentially could occur again, the same issue. And so we mainly talked about looking at how how costly it would be put a to cut a drain basically over to the floor drain. The one thing that I don't have, that I wasn't for sure of is, if we cut and drain into our drain, we were trying to figure out if everything from the fire department, including the floor drains, drain into our septic, or if they're separated and they have, the floor drains going somewhere else. So that's something we still have to figure out.
I will ask Bruce Paulson from Stantec, because he does have the plans for that side and he can tell us.
Yeah, either option, he thought it was going to be less than 20,000. Obviously, if we just replace the sump and put a bigger pump in it, bigger line and stuff, it's going to be far less than that. My main concern with that is just that would it continue to fail in the future. One option was to move it out in that mezzanine or under that mezzanine area, if there's some room for it, and then it would actually have a more direct line to the ceiling as well.
Okay. So there's some changes being made over at the fire department side that they've talked about that they need. He's talking about garage door openers because we don't have the kind of garage door openers that automatically close behind the trucks, which would be helpful. He also is looking at changing out the door pad key locks that we have, but doesn't want to do that right now because of if we decide to, build a town hall, then he would change all of these at one time so that they would have control of them all.
Yep.
And the other thing is the mezzanine he's talking about over there. We have an office and storage area above the restroom and storage area below, but they want to extend it all the way over to the little shack that encompasses the water heater and water softener and rebuild that. The nice thing about that is right now our full electrical panel is on that wall. And even though it's got a cover over it, this would protect it because we build out the bottom as a closet and the top as a closet.
Mhm.
And he's talking about underneath the offices right now is where the laundry is. What happens if they move that over and over there? That gives them a more direct line to the drain. So there's some changes to be had here. I just don't think it's been fully decided yet. Is that honest about it?
Yeah, we're hoping for the plumbing, we'd actually have a number by Thursday.
Yeah.
Johnny thinks he can actually get me a number by Thursday. The garage doors, I think we have 3 quotes, and our last quote was considerably less. And he was actually able to add more safety to it with truck and people eyes, essentially, like the low eyes for people, and then ones that were about 4 or 5 feet up for trucks, so that the
Sure.
door can't close on them, and it match everything else. So I think that third quote was probably our best option. And then the mezzanine was being built out. Sorry, I forgot, we probably haven't talked about it in this meeting, because this is fairly recent, but mezzanine is being drawn out by Stantec, and they are going to have that with the addition, and we'd look at it separately if the town board and the town chooses to build a new town hall.
Yeah. So those are some issues going on over there. And, to be quite honest, we've had some deferred maintenance over there, not due to anything but changeover, and the board wasn't aware. So this last year, we replaced all of the cages on the fans because the fans were wide open. So if you stood on top of one of those big trucks, you better know where your head is and where that fan is. So we now have cages around them, which is a much better choice.
Yeah, that was something that should have been done 10 years ago. It's just that it's one of those things that was just overlooked when it was built.
Yeah. And in addition, we fixed the water leak on the east wall. So that's all taken care of, and repainted the interior. So it isn't that we haven't done any work. We have done work on it, but now here's the next set of circumstances. And the board's going to have to decide how much of this they can still pull out of this year's budget and how much has to push to next year.
Mhm.
So hopefully you'll have that thing from Johnny for the board meeting on Thursday.
Yeah, it sounded like he would have both options. Yep.
Good. Good. Go
Should
ahead.
we consider having a line item for fire department's building?
We've always just put
Things-
it under the building itself, so that's where it's always ended up because the building is considered the building. And so.
So I guess that unless it would happen automatically if we build a new town hall anyway.
Yes,
presumably.
then it would change.
So, okay.
Yeah, then it would definitely change. Anyone else have any questions for him? Anything you wanted to add, Zach?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I have all the tentative numbers. I was just kind of waiting to see where we landed, but I have for our year to date. But from what I've done with estimating out that you know, we would be finished. Our budget is around 165, and I don't want to get to 165 until December, just because you know, we may have a random truck fix that we may have to do. So far this year, we've been fortunate not to have to fix anything major.
And can you let the committee know here when the new truck is coming?
The new truck is going to be coming in March. I don't have an exact date. We signed for it at the end of August. And that means that it's a separate signing. It's basically the final signing to say that they can start building it. And so they're going to start building it probably within the next month. We just signed off on a couple of little minor changes that they had to do in the last couple of weeks. And once the drawings are finalized, then they will start to build. Like I said, which would be probably 2 to 3 months. And I'm safely saying March. It may be February that we see it.
Yeah. So for the people on the committee, if you looked at this page 17 in your audit book, it shows you that we took out this loan on 11/23 of 21, and we paid for the truck that January because we saved a significant amount of money by prepaying for it. But due to supply chain, I guess I would say, you've had some issues in trying to get it built.
Correct. We've also probably saved, paying for it up front, we've probably also saved another $200,000 to $250,000 because the same truck would be in the 900s now.
Anyone have any questions for him on that one? Anyone else have questions for Zach? What, turn your mic on.
When you go to the 2023 budget, 2023 actual for fire building maintenance, can someone explain to me? I think you might have already gotten to that. But
I can actually explain because I had to figure that out myself.
okay.
The overage is 2 different things. One is we had some of the repairs that were approved last year weren't finished until this year. So we had the aerials added this year. So they were added onto this year's budget just because they were done in like February or March. The other thing that's going to look like we're going way over it is the generator is actually that is put into our fire hall building budget. So I don't know if both of the $19,000 payments are in there, but I'm looking at the one for September and there was one in there already.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So even though
It's
the
the paper
budgeted
clips.
for 2023 was 4,000, the actual is 25,000.
Okay, I missed that.
And then for 2024, the budget is 3,250.
Let me see. That's just so our general maintenance is usually between like 3,000 and 4,000.
Okay.
It's not a lot that we put in there. We don't account for any major improvements. We really never have. So asking for these improvements now are kind of like a specialized addition. Last year, the 25,000 for the upgrades of the fans and the cord reels and the air reels, that was added into our budget and it showed. This year we didn't have anything added in because we didn't have any anticipated projects until we started talking about this stuff in like August. So
Okay, thank you.
And you see, when we consider what we're doing on maintenance on this building, those hose reels and cages were specific to the fire department. It's
Mhm.
not like we had to put them here. So that's why it gets added in on their side of it, so we can be aware of what we're spending specific to the fire department. Painting the building or repairing the leaks is for the building. That's different. Yeah. Anything else for him?
I probably just missed it, but what's the difference between the 25,000 on the budget draft listed as actual and the 44,000 in the P and L? Or
Which
the
line number, which line? Oh, you're on the budget year to date?
52290,
Say it again.
line 52290, fire hall building.
529.
Would it be the same?
Other public safety, she'd have to look up why there's 1,071 in there. He's right here.
No, it's the 52290.
It's
Oh,
on
I'm
page
sorry.
7. Page 7 at the top.
Fire hall, it's
Oh, fire.
44,000. She'll look that up. Why
Is
that
that the,
changed
is that the generator added to it? Because the first payment was added to our
yes.
building.
the generator.
Okay, thanks.
Where did are the scroll cages, the light cages in this year's budget or next year, or last-
This year, the 21,000.
where'd you put the 21?
It's right there, 52290. But this, let me just let everyone know, this sheet does not match this one.
No, we don't.
Because the year to date is not up to date on this one.
Yeah, some of our improvements from last year happened last year, some of them just because they couldn't get stuff in time, especially the aerials. I think the fans were on last year. I think the aerials,
Or
And-
this year.
yeah,
Yeah.
are this year.
Anything else for him? Otherwise, we can move on. Thanks for joining us, Zach.
No problem.
Good, thanks, Zach.
No problem.
All right. I'll have to figure out where I'm at here.
2023 budget.
So. Review of the 2023 budgets.
Oh,
So that's what you want to look at on here.
No, I understood that. I
Yeah.
just didn't know why the things
Yeah.
weren't budgeted. So, and now I understand. So,
Okay. And this is hot off the press.
Hey, I just wanted to add one more thing. I just wanted people to understand that the generator is ARPA funding, even though it shows in our line item. If that clarifies anything for why it's showing on our budget, I think it just goes into our line item, but it's still
Oh.
ARPA fund.
Yeah,
But-
it's just a large discrepancy and I wanted to know
Yes.
yeah,
what had happened.
Which happens, so the next payment, there's another payment we just did, I think, on that. Will go in there, but the ARPA funding is offsetting it.
Have you ever?
It was the same thing when I
Yeah.
found it too. I was wondering the same exact thing, why it showed up that way.
She transfers every month.
Well, that should be over in the other side then, as an offset again. For that.
No, it can't go on the expense side. It goes on the income side.
I don't-
And we all have to be aware that we're putting it in there and it's over here because the state requires that we put these expenses in certain categories.
That isn't my point. My point is the expenses listed there, but at the same point, over in 4,400, we should have an income where the ARPA funds are
Yeah,
in there. So that is, that zeros those transactions out,
right.
even though it looks like it's over.
Yeah, it just doesn't show up in this view, so.
It'll show up in, where is it? Transfers in. So there's transfers that come into it. If you look at 49000, other financing sources, it's on page 4. That's where your transfer ins come in.
It's the zero.
I'm sorry, what? So you look at 49400 transfer in, we have $12,739.92. I believe that's the first half of is the ARPA funding.
But that's from general funds, so there must be.
It says general
another
fund,
one
but
somewhere.
it should be, we need to correct that so it shows in from ARPA. Can you make note on yours? Here, this one, here. It needs to be, shows it coming in from ARPA.
We only use 400 for ARPA research, so we're gonna be times we have other things in there.
This is the money you're actually transferring in to pay a bill. This is not the ARPA account.
No, I understand that, but you. On 49,400. How do we, it just says general fund,
I told her she has to correct that. It has to say from ARPA.
but can you do that on every potential entry we put it in there as 4,400 only using are you only using that for ARPA transferring?
No, she'll have to figure out how she wants to do that based on the state.
So we're gonna have a subcategories under that.
Not necessarily, it might be 49,500. She'll have to check with with the state on that.
Is there any other questions on this? 23 budget?
We're way over on maintenance contractor in Public Works,
Yes.
and that's
So how we treat public works, everybody, is
sorry, 53304.
how we treat public works is we use the total of that category. So if you go down a little ways where it says total of 53301. Our budget was 417,150. We're at 439,141. So yes, we are over. The biggest part of that has to do with the contractor themselves and the amount of work that we needed to have done this spring. So yes, we are definitely over on that one. So then when you go down to major road work, if you go down to this total here on page 7, you'll see that we had 1.189 million. We've spent 798.
So far.
Yep.
And are we gonna continue to realize savings on 53307, 53308? That'll help.
That helps it.
Help kill the
Yeah.
dental cap. Okay.
So one of the major problems with the maintenance was North Bay Road. We spent a lot of money on that road that was really broke up, and we had to dig a lot of holes out and redo it.
Mhm.
So in the future, on our next go around, then that road will be reconstructed. One of the roads that needs to be upgraded, because it had very little blacktop on when it was a new subdivision back in the 70s, no, maybe before that. Whenever it was done, I can't remember exactly, so. So that's where a lot of it is, and then trees is another, major trees is with all the trees that were down this spring and
Mhm.
trying to catch up, and right between Tuma and a tree service coming out and trying to do that stuff. So that was a lot of the budget, so.
Yeah, and I see we did increase that for 2024. I know we'll get there later,
Yes.
so
Yes,
we assume that this kind of increase will go forward.
Yeah.
yeah,
And you know, we're under general government. We are under their general administration, so we're doing good in those categories. So in the end, we'll probably have to do transfers like we do every year, where one category goes over and the other's under. I'm hoping in the end, the balance, the budget does balance out. But it's kind of a crapshoot to know which direction you're headed till you get into the year, because especially on public works, it doesn't always go according to plan.
What happened with the lawnmower,
With a tractor.
the tractor, yeah?
So the tractor, I don't know if you'd heard that the arm had busted off at the frame rails.
Yeah.
It was sent to South Dakota. They fixed it and brought it back at no charge.
Oh, that's great.
And they beefed it up. It's a whole different attachment underneath than it had been. And so far, it's been working exactly the way it should. It was an unfortunate situation, but Diamond Mowers stood behind their product and how they attached it to the
Sounds like a
tractor.
Silver lining that they improved it.
And then they improved it. Well, we're lucky that it was this new also. So it was only a couple years old, but the tractor, Baraboo tractor implement determined that it was not the tractor's fault for that problem, because they're the first ones that looked at it and then told us to call Diamond, and Diamond are the ones that kind of hemmed and hawed, but then Chris sent them pictures and they went, oh, and then they came out and inspected it and picked it up and put it on a flatbed and took it to Sioux Falls, I think, and fixed it and brought it back. So we're happy about that.
So just to make you aware, Public Works, we've been talking about. John Deere has a program that they work with communities with for, townships and counties and whatever. So Chris Marshall is checking into that. We haven't pursued that, but Somerset's in that program. They just bought a new John Deere with Tiger Moore on it. And so I don't know what's the specifics are out of it yet, but as we move through trying to figure out and what the issue is, how long do we want to keep the present tractor so we still get a major amount of money for it versus, waiting 20 years to get what we, what we'd lose over the years. So that's one thing we're looking at. So, any other questions on the budget there?
I guess one more curiosity, why don't we budget for fuel for the tractor?
Oh, let's see. Could be in here somewhere.
Mine 53642.
What is it? Anton?
Fuel for the tractor. 53642.
6, 3.
Oh, that's a good idea. We obviously missed that. Do you see it on there? No, on this one. 53642.
6642. Okay.
So we don't have it in our 24 budget. So that's coming up here on the 24.
Yeah.
So. Let me put that in here. Good catch.
Yeah, we missed that. Okay.
Okay,
Weed spraying, we left the same, you'll see it kind of low, and there's the parsnip because the weather was cooler this year, the parsnip hesitated to start. And I'd go out and check, and I thought, I had them in there spraying twice. And then after the second time, like 3 or 4 weeks later, more popped up. So now I have a total map and what we're gonna do for next year. So it'll be higher, but I don't think they're really reasonable to do, so. Okay, so. Any other questions?
and feel free to peruse that and bring them back to Terry if you see any issues there. Because the board is meeting October, what's our date? I never know, next Thursday, October 19th. To finalize the 2024, so if you see any issues, let us know, because we'll discuss that at the end tonight.
Okay. Alrighty, so let's move on to. Anybody take a look at the book and see. The difference, checks and all that stuff.
You want
Anybody
to just pass that down to them and they can look while we're talking, maybe? We can come back to that.
Yeah. We'll move on with that, so. Okay, review of loan commitments.
So this is still, nothing has changed from this. That's in your audit book. We still have the one loan being paid off in 26. And the other two, the road loan and the new fire truck paid off in 29. So I expect that the board at that time will take out another major road loan to fix the rest of these that have to still be done. And we'll be coming up on looking at major roads such as River Road and Valley View, whether they're gonna have to get milled and overlaid. Cause they're kind of they're coming up on their 30, 35 years, so. Are we ready or do you wait for another 10? So that'll have to be decided in 29. And then the fire truck that's paid off in 29, the board made a commitment to set up major rigs to be purchased every 8 years. So they'll take another loan out in 29, because if you take it out in the November, December, you don't pay on it till 30. It goes for 8 years and then you buy the next truck. So that's how we're trying to pay for these things, because you can't levy more than the state allows you to levy, so you can't increase your levy limits. Unfortunately. You got to find some way to pay for it.
Okay. Okay,
10-year plan.
anybody,
That's the man in front of you.
what's that?
He's the 10-year plan guy.
He's the, he's the,
Yeah, 10-year plan. So,
okay,
this has been quite the tedious project that I hope to get off my plate here soon. As you recall, the first iteration of it was taking the existing document and trying to update it. Started doing that with kind of an audit, making sure that the previous couple of years were up to date, so the formula stretched out and that it was accurate. Well, in doing that, I found out that a bunch of formulas were messed up, or places that should have a formula were replaced with a number. So somebody should have just added numbers up top and then it would pull the formula, and then instead of letting the formula do the work, they just added in the actual number. So kind of fixing that. Second iteration we had talked about was just starting fresh. There was so much, that document was going back to like 2003, I
Yep,
think. And
yep.
so it was a document that was living for 20 years, kind of changing, and I don't know how many people have touched it.
Well, that's why the formulas are so messed up, is all the people.
Exactly. So that
touched
was
it.
kind of the second iteration. We said, okay, let's just start fresh with budget actual 2022, budgeted 23, and then project out 24 to 33. That was kind of the next piece. Well, and in doing that, you find that the spreadsheet as it's currently existing does not match kind of the sheet that we work on
Yeah.
here. So that one would pull together the existing spreadsheet. So the existing 10-year projection would show, for instance, it would say like grants, and that was it. So now you got to look through this, you got to pull together 43529, 435, you got to pull all those together, add them up. And then you're always left over with some math. I got close on some of these numbers because you don't know where some of these things go. Okay. Debt was outdated or missing altogether, because again, the document started in 2003, didn't have some of the new current debt. So third iteration is taking this document, starting fresh with this one, as in we already have budgeted 22 or to actual 22. You got 23 budget, you start 24 and project out. Now we're all talking the same language, because you got our line items here that you can project out. So so that's where I'm at doing that. What I hope to try to get to is enlist somebody else that I can kind of hand this off to perform somewhat of an audit, make sure that the numbers are correct, matching the 22 actual, 23 budgeted, and everything's lined out. And then sitting down maybe with you, Therese, you got the seemingly a lot of knowledge on the debt. That's another part with that debt summary, because that really does impact what that projection looks like.
Yep.
So That's where we're at,
So he's looking for help
looking to.
and you
hand
should,
this baby off.
and you should all laugh because I handed it to him.
Hot potato.
Yes. Anyone on that side of the room want to help him out?
What does the 2, 3, and 4 mean on these then? Is it-
That's something we're gonna discuss in a minute,
Okay,
so.
I thought you
don't-
were talking about his session. of
No,
finance.
this-
No,
no.
this is for the lead, that's probably the
Yeah.
town hall.
Yeah, this has to do with the town
Yeah,
hall stuff.
Okay.
This is our budget worksheet that we work off of to determine the budget for the following year. That she continues to update the actuals on. And we use this because she's now corrected all the formulas on it, so it works correctly. We've done this for years because it's easier to understand than this. And you can't change this on the fly to get your 24 budget in, so this works better. So ignore the 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what it is. And what he's saying is that once he gets this pulled through, then maybe she can send this to you and we can work on it forward. And maybe we wait until January when she has the finals of 23 in. And the budget for 24 has been finalized, which would make it a lot easier to push forward, right?
Yeah. And then the only other thing we would have to add to this that the other spreadsheet does have that is nice is kind of a debt summary that shows all
Yeah.
the existing notes, what the payments are, how's that?
Laddering out, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
So if any of you would like to help him with that, it probably wouldn't have to really get pushed forward until January. Come on, somebody should raise their hand. Come on.
I can help you update the Excel spreadsheet with that debt stuff.
Okay,
I'll help you with that.
thank you. All right, I'll work with Terry. We'll get it as good as we can get it.
And then we'll leave it sit until she can get the finals in.
And just update. And that's
And
the
then-
other thing too, is if we switch over to this format versus the one that the current 10 years
Yeah.
on. I mean, it's apples to apples. So right now it's a little bit apples to orangey. You gotta try to figure out where things
Yep.
are supposed to go. This would be very clear because you can just use the line straight across. And again, things that either existed on that old one don't exist now, or things that are current are not on that spreadsheet. So you're constantly adding lines,
Yeah. I appreciate what you said, because I struggled with that.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to the point, I said, I can't do this. This is way beyond my capabilities, and I'm glad to hear you're saying it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work trying to fit this information.
Yep.
It has to be the same format, or else
Yep.
you're spending so much time trying to, it's easy if you're just taking numbers and just moving cell to cell and you're just updating.
Yeah.
But when you have to sit down and you say, okay, it's saying, well, it's all of our, again, grants was a really good one. Or
Yep.
State aid and,
So,
from 8, 9 different sources.
Yeah.
And on here, all those have their own line. On the other one, they're all combined.
so all of these add correctly to the bottom, so then what would be happening is all of the formulas got to go this way to project you out for 10 years. So that's what has to be added to this.
Yeah, so I would just take, like on this one, I would take off. 2023 actual, right now, I would take out 2023 actual. And 2024 budget, 24 budget would be projected. at
Yes,
this
yeah.
point. Then we can just project out.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. So January, we'll see if we can
Okay.
get a handle, and if either you two over there want to help, speak
Come back
up,
out.
speak up. Thank you.
Okay. Let's we move on to town hall building.
Okay, I got a lot to say. I hope you're all ready.
Who's in,
The board at their last go around on this made a decision not to add on to this building. Made a decision to build a new building across the parking lot. And they asked the engineer, which the board has not seen this, but they asked the engineer to provide us with something. What does a box look like on that land across from us here? So this is the blue is the existing town hall and fire hall. And it shows an additional parking lot because you have to have ADA compliant parking at that site. And the brown box is a building 60 by 100. The board hasn't decided on that. There's been no input as to anything about this building. This is just the footprint that can fit over there.
That's the back. That's the maximum size that can fit?
That
there?
seems to be about the maximum. I'm sure we could stretch it one way or the other a little bit, but that's what he put on.
Okay, that seems rather arbitrary then, or?
Well, it's what works there the best with this parking,
Oh,
I think,
okay.
because you have to have the parking. That's the ADA compliance stuff.
No,
is
I know
become-
with the
yeah.
voting. Yep,
yeah.
I understand that. But I don't know if this will meet your needs and.
Well,
all of
we
it.
thought that anywhere from 50 by 100 and up would fit our needs because that's about. It's a little bit bigger than from the other wall in the hallway through there, through the addition that was gonna go on.
Mhm.
So it's bigger than that because it's deeper. This is only, is it 46 feet deep or 36 feet deep? I can't remember now. 46. So this is 46 deep. So this does give you more and you can go this way more, which gives you a lot more flexibility. So that's what the board asked for. What would fit easily on that site? And still have sidewalks, because you still have to have sidewalks, because you have to have back exits somewhere. How is this gonna work?
And what will this space then be utilized? How? can
This will be
best
utilized by
utilize-
the fire department.
Okay, so this is all needed by the fire department.
Well, that's what the board determined, because they can use it for meeting space and training. They can also move their, if they wish, they haven't made that decision, but they can move, equipment in here, storage in here. If they don't want to use the whole thing, they can move the offices in there and use their offices for something else. So it gives them a little more flexibility. They're full, and when we get done tonight, if you two want to go over and look, I'll take you over there.
No, and I
'Cause
was
I
just
think it's
wondering if
important
they
that you
did need
see.
the
Yeah.
space.
I think
Yeah,
it's
no, I,
important that you see it.
I believe you. I
Yeah.
just wanted to know if there was good utilization of this space and not just.
In my conversations with Zach, they intend, yes, the offices over here. And then that offices that are out there kind of in that mezzanine, that would actually be a live training thing, ladder up.
Sure.
Get into a window, that's a second story window,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's.
It would be used for another purpose than what it is.
Mhm.
We would also end up moving our server, et cetera, over to the other building, but I'm not sure how IT will handle this. And we're gonna move this system over there because they don't need anything as, refined as this is.
Mhm.
They need something, but they sure don't need what we spent on this.
Would
So-
this be big enough for election needs?
That's the plan. So, we'll have to have a further discussion with him. He's on the first thing on our agenda Thursday night because he's traveling. So we'll have some further discussion with him on this. But this is just the very bare basic. Okay?
With
So-
projected population increases, if that happens, will this suffice for years down the road?
Oh, yeah. He said 30 years.
Okay,
It could go further.
Okay.
We expect to build the office space out to have an extra space in there for someone to work.
Mhm.
So that if the zoning administrator has to come in or someone like that will have a space, so it will have extra spaces.
Okay.
Um,
And
this is tight. I mean,
and
there's-
and storage.
And
that's-
huge storage.
That will be capable of being secure for
Yeah.
the document.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so not only will we have a vault for all the documentation, we're gonna have huge storage for all of the equipment, because now the voting equipment is starting to become an issue.
Mhm.
So how do you store that? So that has to be stored too.
So does the board have a budget in mind here? Or are we just waiting to see what the engineers come
Well,
back
we're gonna
with?
have to see where he comes up. And originally, he talked anywhere from 2 to 2.5 million. He spoke to us and said it was gonna be 1.3 to 1.5 for the addition. The difference being in that the addition here, the board wanted it to match the building, so it would have been concrete. The new town hall would not be concrete, it would be stick built. Stick built, not concrete. Do you disagree? Right. But I'm saying it's stick built, it's not concrete. That's the difference. So however that stick built is, I'm not saying it's wood, I'm saying it's stick built, so it's not wood. So that has to be determined yet, but that's kind of the range in pricing. So we expect that we'll get something nailed down, so. I have presented you with Ellers and Associates. This one was from October 12th, when we first started talking to them about monies. And he showed us, I'm sorry, first one was from June 8th. I said that wrong, June 8th, when we first started talking about monies. And we were looking at 800,000 because we were talking about an addition, and we already had 300 and some thousand in the bank. So that was that. Now I've asked him for a new one that we're talking about on Thursday. And this shows two scenarios. This shows $2 million debt and $2.5 million debt. I asked him for both. I don't know where we're gonna end up. I don't have any logistics on that. He did start this in 25. It would back up to 24 because the loan will be taken out this year for next year. The debt service on $2 million is about 275, and that is the most worst case scenario. The debt service on 2.5 is 340,000. So having said that, if you go to this sheet, I put some scenarios forth. And so attached to this sheet is all these levy limit worksheets. And to all of you who don't know this, levy limit worksheets have a place on the back for debt service. So levy limit worksheet 1 is our current debt service of 961,778 is on the back. That leaves us with an allowable levy of 1.984 million, which is here on line 10. So that's a number 1. Do you ladies have a question? I don't want to go on.
Which one is that, are you on?
Number 1.
The first sheet.
It's
page
the
one.
only page there is.
Or you say it's number one?
10.
Number 10,
What was the amount?
1984835. Do you ladies have a question? I don't want to go on unless you're with me here. So, okay, this is levy limits worksheet number 1. This shows no new debt on the back, but it does show on the subtraction column, the approximately $92,000. This is this one. Go to this sheet.
That's the library.
Yeah, that's the library money that we have to give back. Well, we can't levy for, let's put it that way. Give back's the wrong word. So levy limit worksheet number 2. So if you go to 2 and you turn to the back, we have levied for what we had this year plus the 92,000 for the library, because if we levy for 92,000 for debt service, it doesn't impact anyone. You're already paying those taxes. Doesn't make any difference. That gives us under line 10 an allowable levy of 2.076813. Are you with me so far? That's on
Yep.
10 here.
Yep.
Where we're at now, right?
Right.
That's
So
what we're
now,
funding, that's what we're projecting.
so now, just wait. So now we're gonna go to number 3. Number 3 on the debt service side, we added the library money and $84,000, which is the difference between the debt service and the 102,000 in additional funds we're getting on state aids. So instead of taking that state aid money and using it towards operating expenses, we're gonna use it towards debt service. That brings line 10 up to 2,157,835. If you go to scenario number 4, on the back, instead of doing anything, we have levied for the entire debt service, 275,000 plus our debt service. That brings our levy up to 2,259,835. So now that you've seen those,
So those are the allowable levies.
right? So now you're gonna see that, you're gonna go to this. So the first one of this one that's the complete package, says number 2 on it.
Yep.
Number 2 is 2.76813. This includes debt service of 92,000 that we're charging against the library we're giving up. The next 2 are only pages. Oh, I should back up. On the back page of this, you can see that we are short $93,098 on the budget if we leave it the way it is. We haven't decided that yet because the board hasn't met. If you go to scenario 3, which is the debt service of 84,000 plus the library, bringing it to 21578, page 2 of this shows you that you will be short 12,000. That we can work easily out of the budget. If you go to scenario 4 is 100% levying for the tax or for the debt And that puts us ahead 90 grand. So there's three scenarios that I've shown you. I didn't give you number one because we have to levy something for the debt service. So I listed those here. So scenario number one was no levy for the debt, for new debt. Number two is the 92,000 for the library. Number three is the 92,000 plus, I didn't write that down, the $85,000 difference. So that comes with 102 comes up to 275. And then the final one is the total debt service of 275 because I used the $2 million. Here, it shows you the difference in debt service on taxes. And I'm trying to minimize that as much as possible. Because this debt service right now is 98 cents per thousand. If we do the new loan, 100% of the debt service, it raises it to $1.18. If we do the new loan at 2.5, it raises it to 125. So if you look back and you say, well, 18 cents is really 20 cents on difference on 1,000. So 20 cents on 1,000 is $2. $2 on 10,000, which on 100,000 is 20. So now on a $500,000 home, that's $100.
Yep.
That's what it would cost if we levy 100% of the debt. I don't think we have to do that. I think we can, at least take the 92,000 we're paying for the library and just use, that's part of the debt and it doesn't impact that other side as much. But that's the numbers. And if we do 2 million, we have approximately 350,000 sitting in the bank for this building. So in essence, we're looking at 2.35 million. Because that's the ARPA fund sitting there.
At 250.
350.
Teresa, what was your number again on the $500,000 value?
$100.
For the library,
Yes,
is there any change in the county levy?
yes,
Is it roughly the same amount that we're?
yes.
Okay, so in terms of the
It'll
impact,
probably be
to-
around 100.
in terms of the impact to the residents, then,
They'll get impacted at the county side.
okay.
Yep. And Ellers is looking at this. He did not have time to really flesh this all out. But this gives you an idea of the direction, we can go. And it gives you scenarios, because I'm not telling you anybody that they have to go one way or the other. But I know Matt's always said, how are we paying for this? How is that gonna happen? And
I
I'm.
appreciate all this. This is good. This is very good. It's been my thing this entire time.
Yes, and so when you talk about debt service, I'm thinking, well, we could levy for the 92,000 that we're not levying now for the library, that could be debt service. And we could levy the additional 84,000, which is the difference between 275 minus 92 minus the 102 in excess state aids. And that's scenario 3, and that brings us within $12,000 of our budget.
275 is our annual payment.
Yeah,
That debt service, yeah, okay.
right.
So 275 less the 92 from the library.
Not-
plus, and the
not-
85. Where, Teresa?
Debt service, we're gonna levy for that. The 102 is from state aids. So if you look here on
We have
this,
library,
on 43410, the very first page of this,
yeah, state share tax.
it shows that our state aids are going up to 140,000 this year. It's about 100 and we haven't gotten them all this year, so it's about 102,000 difference. It's gonna be about 38,000 total this year. So that's our increase in state aids. Now, the other thing you should be aware that if you remember what we looked at, I'm gonna say this quickly as I can. On this, in 26, we pay off the first loan. And that debt service can go towards this too, which will lower people's taxes. That's at 84,000. It's 84,000 here.
And which loan is
So
that?
this 84,000 goes away.
And which loan is that one?
This is the loan that paid for the truck and the roof back in 16. 17 is when it paid for them, but 16 was taken out.
So what you're saying is the 2026 debt service that for our roof and another vehicle will will go against paying for a different building or a different.
Right, in 27.
As long as you can explain that so everybody-
So you've got 24, 20.
She read it, thought she was well.
Yes.
If everybody can understand that it's actually going to lower. your
In the
tax-
end.
In the end, yes.
So 24, 25, and 26.
Yep.
You're gonna have to pay that debt service. Now, I had Brian look at this to see if he could structure the loan different, and he said it doesn't gain us anything. Cause some, can we pay less now, more later? He goes, you're not gaining anything. I can't, it doesn't work.
Just
So-
adding too much interest,
Huh?
just adding too much interest.
Yeah,
You went from-
so we'll see.
Well, I know I've been on the record with accomplishing this with the least amount of debt possible, because I do not think getting into debt is a good thing. Teresa, question for you. How much do we have in reserves like right
Right now that we have sitting in the bank,
now? Yeah,
what about 900,000? Not
And-
counting impact fees and ARPA?
yeah, just all.
Yeah,
money.
About,
And-
about,
And what are we comfortable getting that number down to?
well, the board had a resolution in place that says that we cannot drop the general fund under 500,000.
And the next thing is ARPA and impact truly reserves. We can maybe bump it as such, but we can't use impact fees for this building.
No.
And we could, well, ARPA is up in the air, probably can be used, but. it's
ARPA
not
can be
truly
used for the
reserved.
building.
Not truly reserved.
That's right, but that's why I said minus ARPA and impact
That's
fees.
what we had.
Yeah, because impact fees can't be used for anything else but what they're, anything else but what they can be used for.
So the key, as a group, I'm just gonna put it out. Perfectly clear to you, and you can rattle it off in 15 minutes, but it is not going to be for the general public even if.
Mhm.
But
if
we're
you
not there
want-
yet.
If you want the public to be on
Right.
board and lead this and stuff like that, we have to make it so it's very clear.
But we're,
that
yeah,
That debt service
Yeah.
means loan payments. to
Yeah.
them.
but we're not there yet.
No,
No,
And
I'm just
Brian
saying-
is willing to come to the budget meeting hearing on November. Cause he did it last time when we borrowed money for that fire hall. He was very clear as to how this worked and what it would pay for and how it would happen. But the board's gonna have to give him approval on Thursday to start working towards that in order to get those numbers to flesh out and work as to what that will be.
So one thing that I do remember from previous years that might come up is that we've basically said in previous years, every time that like a loan for a new fire truck comes up, we finish paying it off,
Yeah,
that we assume that we can kind of roll that over to, okay, now we can do a loan for the new truck.
and that's what the 29 one will do. That's paid off in 29. So
Right,
they
but
did
but
not.
this one, I'm just saying, this one
Yeah.
is different because
This
we're
is
saying
different.
we don't need a new truck at this
Right.
point. We can, therefore, we can use that
Right. So when the-
annual money towards a new building.
Right, so when 2 years ago, when the fire department came to us and said we need another truck, I was like, wait a minute. You need to stop coming and asking for a truck, and then a truck, and then a truck. We need to have a plan here as to
Right.
when these trucks need, and so trucks should get replaced anywhere from 20 to 25 years. This puts us on a 24-year rotation because we have 3 big rigs. The smaller pickups, we can absorb that if we can plan for it. We don't have to take out a loan to buy, a $25,000 pickup. But we sure have to have a loan to buy $1 million big truck. And that's where they're headed. So that's why I said to the fire department at the time, you need to come up with a plan. You can't just waltz in here, and no offense, Zach, but you can't waltz in here every couple of years going, I need a truck, I need a truck, I need a truck. I said, we need to plan. How old are those trucks and when do they have to be replaced? So right now, one of the tankers will go. We will have 2 engines and a tanker and this combo truck, and then they're gonna sell one of the old engines. So now we'll be down to 3. Because this new truck we're buying is part engine and part tender, as they call them. It's a combination truck, which a lot of departments are going towards because they can put more personnel on it than you can in just a tanker truck that carries 2. So it's a good way to go. So that brings us to 3 major big rigs. And they're all moving up to $1 million a piece. I mean, that's where you're going with those.
So we're looking at 8 years from now, presumably.
No, 8 years from 21. We took the loan out in 21,
Okay,
paid for the truck in 22. So in
in 29, then we'd be taking.
in
out a new loan.
29, we gotta take out another loan payable in 30.
Even if it takes 2 years to get,
Yes,
which is how it works. Is it has to do that.
and as Zach said, I was at a WTA meeting down in Eau Claire and we were talking about fire trucks and somebody said, how's everyone doing? And I raised my hand. I said, we took out a loan and paid for the truck in January of 22. And I told him what we built and one of the guys raised his hand. He goes, we just ordered that same truck and it's 900 and some thousand dollars. So they had just done that this last summer. If they would have ordered when we did and got the discount by paying up front, we saved, as Zach said, we saved almost 200 grand on that truck.
And we got that loan at an extremely exceptional rate.
1.49%.
Do we have any idea from Ellers yet what municipal rates are doing?
I don't know. I don't think he put it in here. I don't know yet. So that'll have to come to the board.
I do know when you came to the board earlier that, my notes on a different sheet.
Like I said, there's not a
Oh, yeah. If it were, yeah, and we're in a very favorable position, obviously, the credit rating, our debt to, value ratio is quite low, it's under 5%, which that's where you don't want to be anywhere near or above that, well below
There,
that.
yeah,
But
he
it did
does.
say that, so if we're seeing mortgage rates at 7 or 8%, wherever they are, I thought he kind of spot quoted us at what, 5 or 6?
4.5 is what he has in this one.
Okay.
And it could
Obviously,
be,
it's a little outdated
Yep.
now or months away, but I think we get a little bit better than kind of what we hear on.
and what we can do is if interest rates go down, usually our loans state that we have to hold them for 2 years before we can refinance. So then we could refinance. We've done that in the past, that we refinanced a road loan for less money, significantly less than what we took it out as. So we can always refinance.
We did that up in the book. There was
Oh.
a little balance left
Oh.
there and it said that didn't, Brian said didn't pay for us that little.
Yeah. So there's ways to work this. I'm just waiting for the final numbers from him, but this at least gives you a thought. And I'm looking for this committee to tell me what direction you think the board should look at this at. I'm trying to make it as least impactful to people.
Here's what they're thinking. Our little brown box is 60 by 100.
Right.
Yeah, so that is from the state that it's gonna be 60, that's a lot better than 4 feet wider.
Right, but we just told them to figure out.
60 by 100.
Yeah, I know it's 60 by 100 on there, but it's up to the board whether they want to go that size or not.
I don't either, but
Yeah.
that's what it's gonna allow.
Yeah. So if we were able to levy the 92,000 for the library as debt service, that doesn't impact your taxes because you're already paying it, except it does impact your taxes at the county level. But then the 85,000 or 84,000, whatever you want to say, that's what's going to impact your taxes. And so that's some of the things that he'll come back to us with as to what that impact is for pennies on the dollar. But it's pretty minimal. And I don't think I have those numbers from before. Anyway, anyone have questions on this? This is a lot to throw at you. I went fast. It's because I lay awake at night thinking about this.
Thanks, Lord.
Well, because I know that if we don't get this to talk about it, you can't ever get to the point of where, it's gonna be.
Yeah, I would say I'm a little uncomfortable with budgeting for a deficit, but 12,000 is pretty small, so.
Yes,
I'm not really worried.
and we haven't
About
chopped
that.
anything off the budget.
But
yet.
we also haven't gone through the budget yet. and-
Right.
Yeah.
Looked
we could
for-
find 12 grand.
Right,
Yeah.
And it's not just, can we find 12 grand, but is it, oops, we forgot 100,000 here that
Yeah.
we need to, yes.
And I view this whole situation, much like I view any new development in the town, is how can we do this on the least amount of impact, least amount of infrastructure? Infrastructure costs much, honestly, it's an infrastructure project, but how do you do this with the least amount of impact? And that's
Yeah.
what I'm very curious of. What do we have in reserves that we can apply to it? You got your ARPA funds at 350 to apply for. You come to the table with a significant amount of that money already there, so
Right.
it's quoted at 2.5. And you come to the table with 750, 600, whatever that
Yeah.
number works out to be, that's a much more palatable thing for people to
Yeah.
understand. And then you can get into so that's the top line numbers, then you can get into those details when you're talking valuations per 1,000, all these other things that people actually really, truly care about is how's it gonna affect my taxes. That's that next level of discussion that you can have. I think if you can lay it out and where that is, that's.
I will
People
say,
need to be informed,
Right.
so.
I will say with my, putting on my somewhat cynical point of view hat, saying that your taxes will go down in 2 years when this other loan goes away is not a very believable message.
Right,
No.
right.
No.
Because the board may decide not to do that.
Right.
And I am aware of that. So that's up to the board at the time, but
Yep.
here's where we're at.
Mhm.
And here's the possibilities out there.
Yep.
You know, this is an opportunity for the town that has not been presented to us in the past. We tried to get an addition on this building when we built that addition and it didn't go through. And we're kind of at the max in this building for the town itself. We are at the max. We have no more storage. We have no more places to put anything. Everything is jammed and they're jammed and elections play a big part of this. The new ruling coming down at the state level is to allow observers within 3 feet of everyone checking in and absentee balloting. How are you gonna do that in this room? So we're gonna have to find a way to get it done, but that's gonna impact the future as you get more voters. That means it's more of that to happen. One of the things the WC is looking at is to allow the media in, and they're saying up to 14 media representatives can be in the room. Where do you think you're gonna put 14 people? I mean, I hope none of them show up, but where would you put them?
Where would they come?
Well, you're close to the Twin Cities. We've had them here before, but not 14. And so we have to consider all those things, and they're putting it out there because there's many municipalities far smaller than us in northern Wisconsin that are still working out of one-room schoolhouses who have 400 voters. You know, how are they accommodating all this? The good thing is they don't have the numbers we have, but we know those numbers are going to increase. We're not staying stagnant. We are building houses every year here. So you have to, you know, build for the future so you have enough room to stay there. Town of Hudson added on 2 additions. Town of Troy's, you know, talking about adding on to their town hall. We're all facing that pressure and that, you know, need to increase space. So ladies, I want to hear from you. Turn your mics on though. Good, bad, and ugly. Feel free.
Well, it's a lot to take in. You know, first seeing these forums, you know, for the first time as you're talking.
Yeah.
And trying to keep track, listening to you and trying to find where you're at. and
Yeah.
follow along. So is there any way we could get any of this ahead of the meeting?
Unfortunately, some of this was not available because of timing. Cause I had called Ellers 2 weeks ago and this
Yeah.
is as soon as he could get it to me.
Yeah.
And I've been without internet for 6 days. Count them, 6 days. So none of this got done till today from me because I had no way to do it.
Well, that's just a suggestion that.
Yep, I agree.
You know, I would feel better prepared if I even
Had
had
chance.
the day before.
Yep. And I think we need to do that. And if you guys want to meet again, we can sure do that. But
Mhm.
this is where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I-
Need a motion.
Oh, no, she wants to speak yet.
I don't necessarily want to speak, but I'm actually thinking that I like the idea of the building over here. I like it. It seems to solve a lot of the issues we have. It seems to provide enough room for the future and the growth of the township. I do like this a great deal. I also think the design is very simple. And so you're not putting a lot of money unnecessarily into a space. It's a space you need for voting and what you need for storage and what you need for your own capacity and your staff. So I really like that idea. I really do. And it also allows our safety and fire area to have training in-house and do some of the things that they need to do. So I like the landscape. I like the options you've laid out. I mean, I don't like taxes having to increase for anybody. But this is, these are some nice options that I don't think, I know it's going to be painful for people to have their taxes even increased by $100 or $200 if they have to. And so I'm not saying that cavalierly. I'm just saying that these are really nice options when you have to do these things for the future and for voting. So I really appreciate you putting these together and the thought that you put into them. So.
Thank you.
If the board's looking for advice, I guess I like number 3 of these options best, I think.
Yeah.
Well, this gotta go to the taxpayers anyhow, right?
Yes, at the November budget meeting, they'd have to approve building the building, not the loan.
Yeah.
They approve building the building.
Can you, could you give your why, the why behind your preference? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I guess basically it's a couple of things. It's that we're not getting the town into a situation of, obviously, we haven't gone through the budget in detail yet, but we're not getting the town into a situation where we have a significant hole projected in the budget. Like number 2 is pretty substantially below where we think we need to be. But we're also not increasing the budget up to the full amount, quote unquote, of what we're taking on, which means that we're sort of forcing the town to live a little more within its means than with number 4. I like, personally, I like number 4 because I don't like the town being, kind of on a shoestring budget, and I don't like planning a budget where we expect that we're losing money, even if it's only $10,000 or so over the course of the year. But I think that number 3 is the more responsible.
Reasonable for the taxpayers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's hard decisions. There's no easy decision here.
Right.
But as I stated, there's an opportunity to do something for the town for the future that we really have to pay attention to and not just ignore it. And I would do my very best to control costs on this project in the best way possible. So we're not, doing a bunch of change orders and a bunch of stuff that's unneeded, because those things cost you big time. And so we're trying to identify all the needs we have in this building so that when he starts drawing it out, he's not ignoring something. One of the things that Terry has mentioned and works well is to have floor outlets in the concrete.
Yep.
Because then you can hook up
You can plug in
election
the equipment.
machines anywhere that works. That is so insightful. And it's a lot easier to do before the floor is poured than to sit and cut them all out. So, it's things like that, we've talked about and thought about that he can incorporate into design right off the bat. The other thing is that there may be certain things that the town can do on their own that doesn't involve paying a general contractor the upcharge to do that. For instance, the new well and septic. If we need a new well, we don't know yet, but the new septic for sure, we can contract that on our own. We don't have to pay general contractor an upcharge to get a, septic guy in here to do it.
Mhm.
So there's things like that, like our IT, we already contract with Sunnylink. We'll just have Sunnylink move everything.
Mhm.
So there's things like that that we can have done that are outside of what we're gonna go to bid for that will save us a ton of money. The town of Hudson they had carpet, ugh, in all of their town hall. Ugh. And it was grotesque. Anyway, they decided, they did it as an alternate to their bid as to how much the general contractor would charge them to put in new commercial grade vinyl planking and take out that carpet. They saved almost $6,000 going out on their own. Just on that.
Yep.
So there's ways to kind of save some of that doesn't impact the building of a building. You can put flooring in anytime you want. You don't have to have, the building has to be built,
Mhm.
So there's things like that to consider that the board's gonna have to decide if that's where they want to save some money.
Mhm.
Yeah, the one thing I'd say is let's not save money on the shell.
Right, absolutely, I agree. Let's get the thing built. And, finished out and painted, but they did flooring on their own, they did IT on their own. They did, there was something else. Oh, they did all of the office furniture on their own. They have a storeroom there. We actually ordered all of the racking from Uline. And the town board came in and put it together and stood it all up and we were ready to go. So they did some of that stuff on their own because to pay a contractor to do that is,
It's an extra 30% or
oh,
whatever.
at least, especially on when you get into office furniture and racking and stuff, they're like, yeah, we don't do that, Yeah.
I guess the other thing I'd say is that I still consider the total amount here very speculative at this point,
Yes, absolutely.
the cost.
But I had to put something down.
Yeah, I know, we have to start somewhere, just hopefully by November, we have a more detailed report from the engineer.
Well, here's the expectation is if the board decides to go through with preliminary plan, so he can give us a price, that would take place on Thursday. We have a budget workshop on the 19th and he can hopefully come back with something for us. It's not gonna be fleshed out. There's gonna be no specifications with it or anything like that, but at least he can come back and say, this is what I expect this is gonna cost you, and here's your numbers. And here's what it would tentatively look like. Because this is all he does. This is all he does.
Yep.
So then we could at least have a few weeks for him to come back with a secondary plan after we've given him all our input and see what that is. So we have something to show at the November budget meeting.
Terry, I have the next budget meeting on the 17th. Is it the 19th?
And then I said it wrong. The 19th, oh,
17.
it's the
Okay.
17th, isn't
17th
it?
instead of 19th.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Okay.
Thank
just-
you.
no, Just double check. It's on my calendar is 17th.
17th. Good.
That's Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, a week from today.
What impact, clearly a good one, but what impact would it make if, instead of, you've got that great interest rate, the 1.4% on the trucks or whatever, or the ROFR, I don't remember what it was. What impact would it make if we were able to refinance down the road on, for the debt service? What would that, if interest rates fall and we could refinance?
Well, look at it this way. He's saying right now at the percentage he's talking about, $2 million would be 275,000 debt
Mhm,
payment.
mhm,
If you look at our 7 million, which runs around 2 to 3%,
mhm.
our debt service this year was 781 on that. So that's $100,000 million. This is more money because of that increase.
Because
in
of the
interest.
increase. So we really could improve this
Oh,
if the
yeah.
interest rates drop for us.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's not, yeah, I mean, that could really help it, but we don't have to, like, when you refinance on your home, you have to pay different types of things. Do we have to pay those as
It's a
a?
very minimum fee at
No,
that
it's
point,
not.
because
Okay.
we are, first of all, the town has a Standard & Poor's rating, which is good for us because we
Yep.
get better rates.
Yep.
This will go out on the market for a bidding war as to who's gonna bid on this. He's saying that in June, the interest rate was 4.50.
Mhm.
When we went out to this one on the truck, he told us more than that, and it came in at 1.49, which he was shocked about.
Oh, so we may get lower than 4.5.
Oh, absolutely,
But
'cause
that's
it
what your
goes-
numbers are based on right now is the
Yes.
4.5? Oh, so this could go, oh,
Oh, yeah,
great.
because it goes out there on the market. He
Sure.
puts it out almost like a bid. And they have to submit their proposal by a
Sure.
certain date. Then he reviews them all to make sure what the costs are on it.
Mhm.
And then he goes forward and says, here's the one you should take.
Great.
So the 7.15 million that we took out on roads, most people pay, somewhere around, I suppose, $250,000 to take out that loan for all the costs.
Sure.
I think our costs on that loan were less than 40.
Excellent.
So he builds that into the loan. So we don't have anything out of pocket. He charges us, what, a couple thousand a year to manage our accounts for us. So a couple thousand a year we pay to Ellers to manage the accounts. And we also invest money. So if we take out this loan in December,
Mhm.
we would take that $2 million and immediately invest it in an account with him. Because we don't have to pay anything out until they start building.
Yeah.
All we're paying is engineering costs. Well, the ARPA funds can pay for that.
Mhm.
So we can ladder that out. I mean, we've already made exceptional money on our road funds that have put us in a different spot than where we ever thought we would be. So that interest is really important.
The interest, it's the money that we had for the 7,150,000. We actually made $150,000 in interest before we even started working for road projects.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Like,
Get it. Mhm.
Right.
so,
That could happen again.
yeah,
So we made 87,000 so far this year on our loan money.
Great.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So
Thank
that
you.
kind of offsets that a little bit. But that's why he puts us right out in the market to bid. And it's amazing. We've had times when we've gone out for loans and we've had 15 banks bid on us.
It's great.
Yeah, and then we've had 5 banks bid on us. It all depends on the market. And you're gonna see now with the market, with interest rates rising, no one's taking money out.
Mhm.
As Brian has told us, and I hope he's right this time, Town of St. Joseph is the poster child for taking out loans at the right time.
Mhm.
Because we've taken them out at the times when we needed to, but we've also been so lucky with the interest rates.
Sure.
I think that's will work in our favor again.
Yeah,
I really do.
possibility. Yep.
Mhm.
Afraid to take out.
yeah.
Mhm. Great.
Yeah. So, it's different than your personal, loan stuff. This is really different and it's because we have the Standard & Poor's rating, it ups us in the market. So without that Standard & Poor's, you're paying more market rates. With it, you're not. Usually that's good for anywhere from 1% to 2%. Because it's a guarantee to them. You've already qualified this, so you're guaranteed, we have that rating. So are the rest of you comfortable with number 3, if that's the direction we take? I'm not saying we will, but I'm just saying, okay,
You know where I stand.
Do you need a formal
it would be
recommendation?
nice if we had a motion that would be your recommendation.
I'll make a formal recommendation that we go with number 3.
I'll second that.
Great. Motion made, and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. So we're good. Yeah, but the date for our next meeting, you want to go
Well,
to,
2024 budget, we didn't review the whole thing yet.
okay, so we on,
So the board has not seen this final yet. Because our meeting is next Tuesday. So since they've seen it, we've been able to put in some more income numbers because she finally got, the levy limit worksheet doesn't come out till the 1st of October. So that's that levy limit worksheet you saw in that packet. So that hadn't come out. So we put that in here and we put in numbers for the clerk's office and numbers for Parks, Trails and Rec, which did not have their numbers in. So the income side is not as important to me because most of that is set in stone. Mostly, I would like you to look at the page 5 where it starts on the expense side. That's really what the town can control. And anything that shows pink is an in and out. So any of the pink ones, we just put the same numbers in and out because those are the monies coming in that we're giving back out. So we kind of hold them.
Sometimes referred to as pass-through.
Yeah. So does anyone see anything that they want to speak to
Fuel for the traffic.
besides the $2,000 that we missed on tractor fuel that we'll get in there? See, that's why we have lots of eyes on
Everybody will
this.
see that out there.
Yes,
More than thousands, but what's that?
not tractor fuel this year we haven't.
Let's just get into that.
I know.
Send the tractor away.
Well, it's up to the board. I'm just saying that's up to the board, so we can put more. Anyway, you'll see it, no, you won't see it Tuesday. You'll see it in between Tuesday and Tuesday, or Thursday and Tuesday. You'll see this next Tuesday.
Next, okay, so.
You've got a copy
Not forward.
and we can put it in there, but she won't have the 23 actual updated until Thursday.
No, that's fine, I know the copy that's for copy, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll give an idea.
Correct.
But fire hall building maintenance, are we happy with the number that we've got there?
What did you just say? Fire hall what?
52290 fire hall building maintenance. Because we've exceeded that the last 2 years. Are we,
That's the one I
Right.
was questioning before
And
too.
I'm still considering that because I think we need to put in whether, if we're gonna build that mezzanine, what's that gonna cost us to do that?
hmm,
I think the doors are part of our hall. The mezzanine is something they're using directly, so we may change that number.
okay.
And we have to decide, the board has to decide, are we paying for those doors this year or are we paying for them next year? So the board has not made that decision. I think the board's pretty much decided to take care of the plumbing for sure this year. We've got that space, but whether we have the space to do the $95,000 in doors is a whole nother matter.
Are they replacing the doors as well?
Yes, those are original.
Okay.
And they can't hook them up to have what they need to have on them.
My husband's a retired garage door again,
Oh,
commercial.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they've gotten 3 bids on them. And the lowest was this 94 to 96,000. The other 2 were up in the 120s. But that includes the electric eyes on them, et cetera. Which we gotta have something, because sometimes they fly out of here and the doors are wide open.
I'm surprised never passed inspection without the eyes.
Back in the day, there weren't eyes.
They're that old.
Well, this building's over 45 years old. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's built in 79.
yeah.
The addition was 2011, 10.
I am,
2011, 2010, but it didn't matter for this side because we're only working on the new.
I am a little surprised that it hasn't been required of us yet.
Yeah. So in 45 years, it's just like, deck railings. They weren't worried about your kid falling through the deck railing that they are now.
I have a question. Go to Public Works on 53,303.
Yep,
So that would be grading, gravel and shoulders.
yep.
So 23 budget was 21,000. Actual was 1,824.
Well, they haven't gotten the numbers in there. I think remember, we were gonna check on that. Would you make a note? I think something up there in the contractor needs to be down there in shouldering and grading.
I was gonna say, is any of that?
I think it's in that 57,999. I think that's where Schmidt's numbers went. So can you make sure and check that?
Oh, they came in. Just because Smith's bought the gravel and then charge us for it.
Yeah, I think it's all sitting there rather than in grading. So we need to change
Okay.
that grading
All
number.
right, that's,
That's the only one doing the grading?
No,
Yes.
well, no, they're the only one doing the grading of the gravel roads. Todd does do some shouldering, but not a lot.
Yeah, that's. I was
Yeah.
wondering on the amount too.
So can you check that?
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'm like, so any gravel that Todd buys from, he doesn't buy it of his own pocket, that comes out of town. What Smitty's do when they grade the roads in the spring of the year, they buy the gravel. And then they charge it back out of their fund, so that's what confused me, on what, you know, because I knew we spent more than that for what we're doing, so, okay, that's clarifies that, so,
well, we'll have her check that. She'll get that straightened up.
yeah.
On 53620 refuse and garbage collection, I see that's gone up quite a bit year over year. Do we
Oh,
think
yes.
that's only a transient thing, or should we be bumping up the budget?
It's signage.
What number?
53620.
5-2,
Why that went over was because of the spill that we had on
oh, that
off
was-
of 30th.
Okay,
They had to call the EPA out because they had no idea what it was. And that
Okay.
cost us the
That
big
new
bucks.
addition on the corner of E, somebody
Yep.
brought the whole container over and set it in a cul-de-sac, so you know, they had to get hazmat in there to get rid of it, so,
$3,400, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So normally that would not be that high, but we got dinged on that one.
so hopefully it went off.
Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Or hopefully people are smart enough when they see someone doing that, they stop them.
Like us, that we
Yeah.
were looping around the other night when we drove by.
Where was that?
That same development.
Oh, geez.
That's okay. That's we go and park camera.
I'm good.
But yeah. That's if there's a single car there.
Yeah. I sit in there and talk on the phone sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Just a general question, when you consider like garage doors and necessary building improvements, and maybe it's just verbiage here, but fire hall building maintenance, that includes like building improvements and major structural mezzanines and,
That is,
so where is that then?
the mezzanine will go in there, but not the doors, because the door is the exterior.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
fans went in
The
there
bar, okay, got
and
it.
and the new drops for hoses went in there, but because it's interior, that's how
Got it.
we kind of approach it, is it the
So then the
interior?
building maintenance, is it just anything, any
Yes.
improvements, even structural improvements inside?
Yeah,
Okay,
and outside, you know, I'm talking about regular building, regular town hall building is
Okay.
everything.
okay,
It's like,
So like the town hall building paid for that leak on that side, just like it paid for the
Mhm.
leak on this side.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now that we finally got this thing tight with no leaks, we're thrilled to death.
Got another question on 55215 trail system maintenance.
Yes,
We dropped that from 10,000 to 1,000. Is that because we think the trails
you can ask Lori that. That's the number that came from
no
Parks,
longer,
Trails and
no
Rec.
longer need much maintenance? We've finished big stuff on them or something? Lori?
I'd have to go back and pull those notes and why they decided that they could go down. I think it's because they felt that they had their primary things in place, not missing.
Their signage and their kiosk,
Their kiosk.
and they got the
Their
gra-
signage, they got that all figured out.
and over here, they finally got the culverts in with the gravel and
It's most, and I was gonna say, it's mostly maintenance type things that they've done, everything else. I think there's probably their bills.
So we've been putting
them.
them, so we've been putting improvements in the maintenance category in previous years and we're done with the improvements. That's what
well,
I'm hearing.
especially with the culverts and stuff that,
Oh, we did, yeah, signage and posts and, mapping,
Yep,
all of that.
and all of that is done and should just need maintenance now, so, okay.
And we even, one little kiosk was $25,000 and
Yeah.
that was cheap because, volunteer labor was
Mhm.
constructed on the, out of drawings that they were able to get.
Yeah, I just tend to be nervous in general of things that we're marking lower than they've been the previous 2 years.
Tree down.
That's what I was trying to buy some lumber, doing it out of the backyard.
Yep.
Expensive.
It's good though. About Valley View.
It is, because
And
Yeah.
I've been up there about 3 or 4 times.
So
We're up there.
where am I out here?
That's the way we like it.
I don't want to tell too many people.
And you don't want people to know.
Yeah, you have people parking there and you have dogs on the highway.
I guess just one more question for Public Works is just, are you comfortable with the winter budget? I don't know what inflation's been doing in that area
For what?
for the winter budget, salt, sand, plowing, whatever.
Oh,
The winter numbers, I think that's. Well, this is supposed to be a better winter. Have we all heard that? That's why there's 1 billion acorns falling from the trees. I don't know if it's true or not.
what's your number?
53391 on page 8.
Yeah, well, kind of going all the way
That's where
through
it starts.
just the total for winter. I just want to make sure that's one of our big things. I just want to make sure that we think that's big enough.
Good.
So weren't we doing as much averaging on that as what we could and kind of rounding it up then? On that winter maintenance, so that we didn't have those extreme lows when we go on the previous year and cut it.
Well, we spent 181 on 22. We spent 256 this year already, and we're gonna spend another, I don't know, 20 before the year's done, so that one will be over.
Yep.
So this one's at 267, which is kind of a happy little medium spot. It all depends on the weather. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's all an average thing. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that we're comfortable with, that Public Works in particular
Yeah.
is comfortable with that number.
Well, they
since
bring that forward as a
costs are going
committee,
up.
so.
I think to be cognizant of the controls that we have in place of when are we calling out plows? When are we saying it's okay to go do that? I know our mixture,
Yeah.
we have a very conservative mixture when other municipalities go very heavy on salt, which is quite expensive, so I think. Can't depend on the weather, or can't forecast for the weather, but we can do these other controls that we have in place to mitigate some.
Yeah.
We're usually pretty close on that.
Okay,
So what happens with Tuma and Smith? When they have excess amount of sand and salt on their property, they take it back to the county shop in Somerset. And they credit it. So when we go back up there this fall and we need to get salt and sand, that's credited back to so we don't have to pay for that again. So, because the DNR you cannot have it on your, the contractor's property, so during the summer, so,
Yeah, they have to have special storage in order to keep it.
mhm.
yeah, so. Cool. Okay. All right, any other questions?
Someone else must have questions. No, maybe not.
Okay. There's no more questions. We'll set a date for our next meeting. You wanna go to?
So do you all feel that you want to meet before the November budget meeting, or do you just want to show up for that and have us send you the information the board decides on? So you're up to date? Cause that's in a month.
So you're doing. So
I'm
when
okay
is-
just
when's
going
the
to the budget
hearing?
meeting.
The November budget meeting, just let me see.
Did you-
Hearing is the 14th.
14th of November.
If you feel that you want to meet before that, we can, or if you just want to show up at that. And it's up to you guys. How do you want to handle this?
I don't feel that I need to,
Mm-mm.
I
Okay.
don't know what I would be contributing by meeting
Okay.
again before then, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I get it. But please plan on being there on the 14th.
So.
And
Well,
what I think, I'm sorry, what I think I'll do is I'll try to put something together for that meeting. It probably won't be until after the 19th or 17th of this month. I'll put something together for you and send it off to you and see, you can reply back to Terry if you think it's understandable. You don't have to comment on the comment, but is it understandable?
okay,
If we have any questions, can we just come in and talk to you?
Yeah, talk to Terry. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, once we receive the documents.
And that meeting's not on the town calendar on the website yet,
The 17th or the
the
14th?
14th.
Oh, that's gotta get on there, Terry. Let me tell you, I texted her in a panic this weekend because I couldn't find this meeting on there and I was like, oh my God.
So what,
It's-
name the meeting and what time is it on the
It's the
fourteenth?
budget hearing. It's
Okay.
on the 14th of November at 6 o'clock
Okay,
or 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
You might not have posted it yet. But we should get it on the list. It's not posted yet because we have to wait till the board approves the budget to post it.
So it'll be at 7.
7, she says. Check it for sure, but I think that's it.
Okay. All right, so. Is everybody in agreement that we do not need another meeting, finance meeting before the budget? So. You want to set one up for
January?
January?
So January, can we do? The
Ninth?
7th, let's see, this is a Tuesday. 16th or 23rd, maybe? Have to
Yeah,
be
let's-
later in the month. I can't be early.
23rd is IT committee,
Oh, that's IT, so it'd have to be the
or at
16th.
least it probably is.
16th.
are we allowed to, participate via electronically?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So every agenda has the Zoom info on it.
Great.
Absolutely. If you don't want to drive in it's ugly weather, feel free.
Florida. that's
Oh,
the
well,
problem.
perfect. I don't want to hear about it. No. When we're all stuck here.
The one caveat is that we don't, as today, we don't always have all the material on the drive ahead of time.
Yeah,
Okay.
but at least you can get in on what's going on.
January 16th, okay.
So the January 16th is also at 6.
Yes.
So I don't know if anybody's heard, just in the Hudson paper today, that Paul Blill, who used to be part owner in the Valley House, has passed away.
Oh, geez.
Mm.
Yeah. 60 years old.
Oh,
So
my goodness.
Did anybody hear about the boat accident at Cedar Lake?
I heard,
Heard there was all the stuff going in, I was asked if I knew.
It's the north side of Cedar Lake.
Yeah, and I have, somebody I supervise at work on the water rescue. The drought.
Mm.
the woman was rescued.
Or the woman, yeah.
The woman was rescued.
Woman was rescued, male.
Male drone.
Oh, and that's. Dog,
Oh, yeah.
dog was on the boat. Going in the. surf.
Oh, oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
that's a second boat. Going down the
Yep.
shore.
Yep.
My whole biggest issue is you put your life jacket on, my grandson's grandpa, zip it and click it. I go fishing in Canada and that's check goes on. I don't care if it's 90 or 100 degrees out, but I had one of our guys that the last time we were up there and whenever it was 17, he went to take a fish and get it back going and he was on one side of the motor and it wouldn't go, so he moved over the other side and he hit the ladder. And he went. And his mother and daughter were with, and he said, I didn't realize how fast I could almost drown. He got back, he dog paddled back and, but I just go safety first. And just like the one down here in Hudson, the two guys that drowned down there, so. Yep. So, okay, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded at